Jonathan Fowler is a spokesperson of the UN Agency for Palestine Refugees. He joins me now live from the Jordanian capital, Amman. Thank you, Jonathan, for being with us. 45 days with aid blocked from entering. Talk us through, what does that look like for the people of Gaza?
The situation is absolutely desperate, as you've rightly flagged. I mean, what we're now facing is the worst humanitarian crisis since the beginning of this war. I mean, all the hope that was represented by those many weeks of ceasefire, when we were able to scale up humanitarian aid and begin to meet the needs of the population, that has all gone. But we're back to something now. We're in a situation which is much, much worse than that pre-ceasefire era. I mean, if we think about it, you know, there was a total siege on aid entries at the beginning of the war, but that has now lasted 3 times longer, and it's the population that are paying the price. They have nothing. The supplies that are inside the Gaza Strip for humanitarian agencies are slowly running out, and the question will be, what will happen next? I mean, this is unconscionable.
And Jonathan, not only that, but I understand about 500,000 people have been displaced in the past month. How are they coping, and where are they able to shelter? Is there anywhere safe for them to shelter?
There is nowhere safe in the Gaza Strip for people to shelter. That's a tragic fact of this war. Over 2/3 of the Gaza Strip are now in these so-called, no-go areas where people are being forced to leave. It's at the risk of their lives, and they cannot remain there. But where they go next, they may be then subject to a new forced displacement order. On average, people in the Gaza Strip have been displaced once a month since this war began, and every time their coping mechanisms are strained and strained and strained more. They can take almost nothing with them when they have to flee for their lives, and they're trying to constantly sort of rebuild their lives from scratch where they happen to be, and then they have to start all over again and then rip everything up. I mean, this is just not a situation which is possible to continue. I mean, this has to end. A ceasefire must resume. It must resume immediately, and humanitarian aid must be allowed to flow in. I mean, that's the bottom line.
And what did you make, Jonathan, of the latest comments from Israel saying that the blockade will continue because it's one of the main pressure levers that they have on Hamas, while meanwhile civilians, as we've seen in the last hours, in the last days and weeks, are bearing the brunt of essentially being part of a negotiating tool?
I mean, such statements, and we've heard these kind of things before, they're perfectly shocking. I mean, international humanitarian law is completely clear on what has to be done. That is that it is incumbent upon an occupying power to allow aid to flow in, either to provide aid themselves or to allow aid to flow in from other organizations, but basically that aid must be able to get to a population. I mean, as our Commissioner General at UNRWA, Philippe Lazzarini, has flagged, that there's this weaponization of aid. I mean, aid cannot be used. You cannot turn the tap on and off just to bring about desired results. I mean, the point is a population needs to receive aid. That has to happen. That is what the law says. That's what international law says and has said for decades.
And on that, Jonathan, there's been a new proposal by the Israeli military to have these stationary aid centres controlled by the Israeli military. Where do you think that fits in under what you're talking about, which is, I guess, the international legal requirement to allow aid? Do you think that will be a safe solution to the situation we're currently seeing?
I mean, I can't speculate on such ideas. What I can say is that the solution is already there. The solution is international humanitarian aid under the auspices of the United Nations, other organizations. I mean, it's there. It's staring us in the face, this solution. It's been there from the very beginning. It's the kind of solution which is provided in other war conflict zones around the world. There is no reason why this should be any different. That's it.
Jonathan Fowler, spokesperson of the UN Agency for Palestine Refugees, thank you so much for your time.